What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. If you're new here, welcome and I hope you enjoy. Behind me is my Yamaha R1 swapped Volkswagen Bug, but that's not what you're here to see. If you want to see that after this video, you can go watch my last video on this car. But today I am revealing a new project. Let me explain why it's taken so long. I've had the car above me on the lift for a month now, over a month. It's been sitting on my lift and I have not put out a video because I want to put out great content, but I realized being so worried about putting out great content means I didn't put out any content last year. So we're done with that. That mindset out the door. I put out less than 20 videos last year. That's horrible. So I'm getting content out for you guys. We're going to reveal this car. We'll do some B-roll, some pretty video of it when I get a chance in the daylight. But it's snowing outside, it's dark, I worked all day, it's winter, so I get home after dark, and I'm tired of waiting around, and I know you guys are too. So let's get this car pushed out, get this car lowered down, and let me show you my new to me 2008 Porsche Cayman S. Without further ado, I present my 2008 Porsche Cayman S. Ta-da! Let's check it out. Now, I know this isn't the proper introduction that this car deserves. My shop is way too tight to get really good footage of it, but here it is. I don't know the paint color, but it's a dark blue 2008 Porsche Cayman S with the 3.4 liter flat six and the 6-speed manual transmission. I'll show you inside. It's pretty dark. We're gonna get some lights up in a second. The interior is actually extremely nice. The car has 88,000 miles on it, 6-speed manual, resale black as they do, but it's actually a really nice car. So I'm going to explain why I have this, how I have this, because anybody that knows me knows that this really isn't in the budget, but let me explain. It doesn't look like $1 million right now, but generally they look like they're worth about $25,000. I didn't pay that. As you can see, the car is covered in dirt and on a lift. So that means it doesn't run. I haven't even dug into why it doesn't run. I bought this car sight unseen. Okay, I saw photos online. I drove 5 hours one way, 10-hour round trip on a Wednesday in the middle of the week to buy this car. I'm gonna pop the trunk open, start unloading stuff, and while I do that, I'll explain what the heck is going on. So I really haven't talked about it much, but I've wanted a Porsche Cayman S for probably 4 years now. I've been looking into them, I've been wanting one, but they're way outside of my budget. This car retails, it's got a rebuilt title and 88,000 miles. In running condition, this car still goes for 27 grand. 27 grand is what it books at. I just gotta get all this carpet out and I'll show you the engine. That's right, we're at the back of the car. It's a Porsche.
No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays.
Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys because I always am. I have tried to start digging into this car 4 times now, but I haven't had the chance to get good footage, and so I've stopped myself because I want to do it on video. I want to share it with you guys. You guys support me, I want to show you. I'm not gonna mess with the car without showing you guys. That would just be ludicrous. This is how I received the car. All that stuff he gave me, I threw in my truck, but here is the ECU, just kind of chilling, hanging out. There's an engine. For those of you that don't know, the Porsche Cayman S and the Boxsters are a mid-engine rear-wheel drive car. So the engine hides under a bunch of carpet and covers and everything. But here is our flat 6. We'll take a look underneath in a minute. We're missing the air intake, we're missing quite a bit of stuff. And he has a bunch of random stuff unplugged, which is a bit concerning. Like, as you can see right here, we've got what I assume to be some grounds, just kind of chilling. Got some random plugs hanging out, which I assume come through right here and plug into the ECU right there. So I did hook a battery up to this car so that the steering would unlock and I could pull it in. I messed with it a little bit, nothing crazy. Did mess with it a little bit. I did try and bump the key just out of curiosity, and the car did not try to crank at all. So I'm assuming that's because the ECU wasn't plugged in. I didn't know that at the time. So you can see the intake is off, just sitting there. And I did find out that the fuel rail on that side has been off for some time, which is a little bit concerning because there's dust down in the intake. We'll clean it all out, we'll check it all out. But the reason I got this car so cheap, not running, is because we don't know why. So the guy I got it from bought it. It was sitting outside of his house. The guy he got it from told him it had IMS failure, intermediate shaft bearing failure, which the intermediate shaft is a shaft that sits below the crankshaft, and there is a chain off the crankshaft to the intermediate shaft, and then a chain from the intermediate shaft to every camshaft. There's 4 camshafts in this car because Germans are crazy. So there's a bearing in there that they didn't put any oil to, so being smart, not really, they decided to make it a sealed bearing, which is a great idea if the car doesn't get driven more than like 50,000 miles. A sealed bearing is just a grease pack bearing. So once it heats up, the grease leaks out and it's no longer lubricated and it seizes up and gets mad. So he was told it has IMS failure, which is fairly common and fixable, not a big deal. But these cars are prone to what's called bore score. The cylinder and the piston scrape against each other. There's a coating on the cylinder that scrapes away. It scores the cylinder, scores the piston. The car starts smoking, making a knocking sound. There's plenty of videos on it if you want to check it out. I'll explain more, but he didn't say anything about bore score. They told him it was IMS failure, but he said it was fishy when he went to buy it, and some stuff was already torn apart. So he got the car to crank and fire, and he said that it ran good, but when he went to do an oil change, the oil was milky. So he thinks that it is a blown head gasket. The way it was fishy, he thinks they told him it was IMS, which is common, but we're covering up a head gasket failure. I don't know. It could be a head gasket failure, an IMS bearing failure, or it could be bore score and the engine could be trash. We don't know. We're gonna dive in and just start diagnosing. Step 1 is gonna be put the car up in the air, pull the coil packs off, pull the spark plugs out, inspect them, and then stick a bore scope in the cylinders and see if we have bore score. If we don't have bore score, this thing's repairable and we're gonna start diagnosing what's wrong with it. If we do have bore score, we're done. A new engine for this is about a used engine, I have a part out I should say. A brand new second-hand engine, as Matt Armstrong would say, is $12,000. I paid way less than that for the car. We're not doing that. So we're gonna figure out what exactly we need to do. We're gonna get the car up in the air, pull the coil packs real quick, bore scope it, and let's figure out if this thing has bore score or not. Real quick overview under the car. There is no exhaust on it. That was disappointing. It was supposed to have it. He couldn't find it in his garage. So I have to deal with that, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. When he got the car, the oil drain plug, it's aluminum, it was stripped out. So it was very fishy. I put a stainless steel one in there That's literally all I've done, just so it wasn't dripping everywhere, and it's still dripping everywhere. So there's no exhaust on the car. Being a flat 6, the coil packs are right there on the sides of the engine and up in here. So I am just gonna throw you on time lapse and start pulling coil packs and spark plugs out, and if I find anything interesting, I'll show you. Alrighty, so as you just saw, we got all the coil packs out and all the spark plugs out, but the issue I'm running into is my bore scope. It has a very long tip on it, so I can't see the cylinder walls. When I stick it in the spark plug hole, I can just see the face of the piston, the top of the piston, I should say. I can't see the cylinder walls. I tried to put the little mirror that came with it on there so I can see at a 90-degree angle, and it's just not working at all. The mirror's too big to get through the threads of the spark plug hole. So I don't know. I have to get a different bore scope to be able to see that. So what I'm gonna do for now is drop the car back down and start hooking stuff back up and see if we can at least get it to crank. If we can get it to crank, then we can do a compression test. If we can do a compression test, we'll learn a lot. Because if it has bore score, you can have low compression on the cylinders that has bore score. Lemons make lemonade, I guess. So we got the ECU plugged in. There's a few plugs that I don't know exactly where they go. Right there, actually, I can see. So let me plug these bad boys in. There's a plug under here that I can't see where it goes. It's just flopping around in there right now. That I'll figure out. But I'm gonna plug these bad boys in, and then we're going to just see if we can get it to crank, because it wouldn't crank at all. Everything lit up, but when I turned the key, nothing happened. So let's plug those connectors in, and then I'll throw some juice to it, see if she cranks. The radio's making noise, so that's cool. Alright, so we got stuff making noise, and I can hear a starter relay for the first time, so that's super good. This battery's pretty smoked, and I don't have jumper cables, so I just put it on engine start mode. We'll see if that gives us enough juice to get it to crank. Heyo! Sweet! The starter's actually trying. That's a really good sign. Sweet! Sweet, guys. That's a very, very, very good sign. It cranks over now. We got a lot of lights on the dash. That's not unexpected. So, heck yes. Alright, that's about it for tonight. Heck yeah. It cranks over. So I'm gonna head home because it is pretty late. I got work early in the morning. But we are going to get back on this Porsche very, very shortly. So I'll see you guys in a bit. So it is the next day. We are back on the Porsche. We got it to crank over, as you saw, but now we are going to do a compression test. The cylinders right up here, those are exhaust ports right there because it doesn't have exhaust on it. Right there also. So we are going to put the compression tester in there, crank the old girl over, and see if we can get some compression numbers, because I'm really curious what it has. So I guess we're just gonna do a compression test. I'm going to just write down the numbers and show you, because it'll be easier than trying to film it all, and pray that we have a good engine. I don't know if it'll show up on camera. I doubt it will. Let's see. Yeah, it's right there to the left to the bottom of the cylinder, and we have bore score like mad. Cylinder number 1 is absolutely cooked. I mean, there's chunks of metal, it looks like, right there, right in the center of the screen on the piston. So, oh well, this engine is cooked. Let me show you real quick. Let me show you these. These are compression numbers: 150, 140, 150, 145, 150, and 0. Big fat 0. So it's safe to say this engine is cooked. It's a really expensive to get the engine re-sleeved, not something that is really in the cards right now. So I may need some time to think on this. I knew the possibility. When I bought this car, I knew there was a really good chance that it wasn't just a head gasket. And I can tell you right now, by looking at that bore scope, after doing a compression test, I found which cylinder was bad, and then I just shoved the bore scope till it went in, hit the piston, and bent enough to be able to see the cylinder, and she's cooked. So this is what it is. I'm not mad. I still got a complete, non-crashed, complete 2008 Porsche Cayman S for $6,000. Okay, the engine alone is $12,000 in running condition from a part out. So to get a whole car for half of just an engine, not bad. We got some big plans for this car, so don't worry. Just because this engine is bad and we can't run this car with this engine, doesn't mean we're not gonna do something awesome with this car. But don't worry, we got a lot of stuff coming up with the 280, the R1 swap bug, the turbo, all-wheel drive LS swapped bug outside. We got LS Fest coming up in a few months. We'll get to that more in the next video, and we will get back on this thing very soon. I know it was a short one. I hope it's a sweet one. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to stay hungry, stay humble, stay motivated. We'll see you in the next one. Bye!